So now the commencement address will be delivered by Catherine A. Couric for the last 33 seconds, Doctor of Letters at our college. Katie.
President Jones, Trinity Board of Trustees, especially Paul Rather, whose generosity has made such a lasting difference here. Faculty, parents, distinguished guests, Debbie Cook, beloved college receptionist and guardian angel of students here. And most of all, the class of 2014. Come on, give yourselves a hand, people. I am so thrilled to play a small role in such an important passage in your lives. And I'd like to give a special shout out this morning to the brothers of Psi U. I just want you all to know, by the way, are you actually here this morning? I'd like you to know that I am a big fan of Springsteen, the Stones, and the Eagles, even at 2 o'clock in the morning. So thank you for that. It is really beyond humbling to be recognized alongside honorary degree recipients who are truly the embodiment of such courage, innovation, public service, activism, and philanthropy. Individuals so committed to education and enlightenment. And it is particularly meaningful and moving for me to be here with Jimmy Jones as he caps off a decade as Trinity's president. Jimmy has said from the time he was in kindergarten, all he ever wanted to do was be in school. So I know it's really, really hard for him and Jan to leave this place. But most of all, it's hard for him to leave all of you, the students and the faculty who bring Trinity to life. I didn't know until last night that Jimmy's favorite movie happens to also be one of mine, Goodbye, Mr. Chips, the 1939 version with Charles Dunnall and Greer Garson. Jimmy read the book when he was just 10 years old, and the end of the movie always makes me cry. A doctor tending to a dying Mr. Chips comments on what a lonely life he must have had. Mr. Chips groggily opens his eyes and says, I thought I heard you say 'twas a pity I never had children. But you're wrong, I have. Thousands of them. In addition to 3 of his own, Jimmy truly has guided and nurtured thousands of children into adulthood through the years, including one who is very special to me, my fiance, John Molnar, class of '85. In the last several years, I've dated Ivy League guys, even a purple cow. But when it came time to choose a life partner who exhibited all the qualities I look for and admire, integrity, intelligence, curiosity, sophistication, style, and wit, of course I picked a Trinity man. John loves this school, and now, having met so many people, by extension, so do I. So I want to do it justice today, and I confess I'm pretty nervous. It doesn't help that a few years back, President Jones declared that he could count on 2 fingers the memorable commencement addresses he'd heard, adding that most are platitudinous, filled with cliches and bromides, always too long, rambling all over the oratorical map. So President Jones, if it's okay with you, I thought I would just pick up where Tom Wolfe left off. 44 minutes in. JK. I am going to try to do my best to be succinct and stay away from bromides, which I thought were something you took for acid indigestion, and offer you graduates some thoughts as you move from one chapter to the next. You have already taken the first step. You did it during your procession down the long walk as you finally stepped on that Luther Roosevelt stone. And if any of you stepped on it by mistake before today, I do not want to know what you had to do to get here. TMI. But hearing about that stone, which marks the place Teddy Roosevelt spoke on this quad in 1918, made me think about an interesting anniversary. As you history majors may know, it was 100 years ago, just 4 years before he was here at Trinity, that Roosevelt set out on a grand adventure to explore the so-called River of Doubt through the wilderness of the Amazon. It's fitting, I think, because as you embark on a grand adventure of your own, you may feel like you're about to head down your own personal river of doubt. I can't predict the twists and turns, the speed of the current, the ominous weather, the dangerous predators, even cannibals you might encounter as you head off to your own jungle, concrete or otherwise. But I do know there are certain items you'll need to put in your metaphorical backpack to help you navigate and make your journey successful. Here's what I've learned in my 35 years since graduating from college. Damn, that's depressing. But I digress. So here we go. First and fundamentally, you have got to love what you do. I know I'm not the first person to say that, but that's because it's true. I wrote a book where I collected advice from all sorts of accomplished people: Hugh Jackman, Alicia Keys, Barbara Walters, Wynton Marsalis, Chris Evert, and they all agreed it's passion that got them where they are today. And if you speak to business leaders, they'll tell you it is absolutely indispensable. Richard Branson says you need passion and energy to create a truly successful business. Tory Burch agrees, adding, life moves too fast to spend your time otherwise. Passion is the fuel of high performance. Passion prevents you from watching the clock or thinking of work as a four-letter word. If you're passionate about something, you're probably already good at it. And if not, that passion will give you the tenacity you'll need in order to excel. Passion will make you exude positive energy, and people want to be around positive people. Plus, as New York Times columnist Tom Friedman put it, in a world grown flatter, it's an absolute survival strategy. He says, if you want to be sure your job can never be automated or outsourced, you need an occupation that demands some uniquely human flair and imagination. In other words, something that can only be done by people who love what they do. But don't wait forever to find that perfect fit. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And if you spend too much time finding yourself, you may find yourself at 30 playing Xbox in your parents' basement. If you can't find that perfect job right away, then take a job that's less than perfect and give it everything you've got. Why? Because you'll start assembling the building blocks of a successful career. Skills like being responsible, punctual, collaborative, meeting deadlines, tolerating an annoying coworker, or pleasing a demanding boss. And sometimes the best way to discover your true calling is doing something that you're not cut out for. I know a woman who once worked at the White House, writing papers on nuclear energy policy. Their work was prestigious, but let's just say it didn't get her reactor burning. What she really loved was cooking, so she opened up a specialty gourmet store on Long Island. And today she's known as the Barefoot Contessa, Ina Garten. But let's just say you have figured out what you want to do, or you want to give something a whirl. How do you, distinguished graduates, distinguish yourselves in a highly competitive world? After all, there are about 1.6 million graduating seniors who will be out there trying to get noticed. So what sets you apart from the pack? My mom's advice to all 4 Couric kids growing up was, let them know you're there. There are a lot of ways to do that, and my aforementioned fiance is a case in point. After John graduated from Trinity, he applied for a job at a well-known investment firm. He made it through several interviews, but he didn't make the final cut. But instead of licking his wounds and moving on, he took a different tack. He called the head of recruiting and asked if he could come in and talk to him to find out why he didn't get the job. Initially befuddled, the recruiter invited John to his New York office and proceeded to explain. Your grades didn't stand out. I'm not sure why you majored in history. You should have taken more accounting and finance. Other applicants had more impressive experience. This guy was kind of like the Simon Cowell of finance. John listened, politely defended his choices, thanked him for his time, and left. But then he realized, once he had gotten across the street, that he'd forgotten his raincoat, so he went back to retrieve it. When the same man saw him by chance, he called him back into his office and said, "Guess what? We've reconsidered." He made John an offer on the spot, and his career was on its way. I think that recruiter was impressed with John because he really wanted to figure out how could he do better, how could he be better. It took both confidence and humility to ask for this kind of no-holds-bar assessment. John put himself out there. He took a chance, and that made all the difference. It takes moxie, spunk, chutzpah, whatever you want to call it, and it's scary because it won't always result in a job offer as you're serendipitously retrieving your raincoat. The flip side is, wait for it, rejection. But in order to be successful, you have to be brave enough to try and to fail. I have become an expert at that. I got rejected from Smith College, where both my older sisters were superstars. When I graduated from U.V.A., I decided to give television news a try. And no one, I mean no one, saw a scintilla of potential in me. It didn't help that I started in the business when harass was considered 2 words instead of 1. Jimmy liked that one. My first on-camera experience when I was a 23-year-old neophyte at a startup called CNN was so pathetic, the network president actually called the assignment editor and said he never wanted to see me on the air again. It took years to persuade my bosses to let me move from being a producer to being a reporter. But setbacks and roadblocks weren't limited to the early days of my career. When I became the anchor of the CBS Evening News, the first woman to do so alone, the critics were harsh and unrelenting in my first few months on the job. They complained about my hair, my makeup, my clothes, my delivery, even the way I held my hands. Some claimed I lacked gravitas, which I've decided is Latin for testicles. It wasn't easy, but I kept my head down. He liked that one too. But I kept my head down and I stayed focused because I loved the work. Remember what I said about passion? And looking back on that 5-year run, Afghanistan, Iraq, the 2008 election, the earthquake in Haiti, the revolution in Tahrir Square, I consider the work I did at CBS as some of the most important of my career. The best antidote for the naysayers you'll surely encounter along the way: stay strong, work hard, and put in the time. As Malcolm Gladwell noted in his book, Outliers, it takes 10,000 hours of practice to become a world-class expert in anything. No one exemplified that more than Sully Sullenberger. In 2009, I interviewed him after he landed a flight on the Hudson River after birds knocked out both engines. I'll always remember what he said to me when I asked him, "How were you able to do that?" For 42 years, he told me, I've been making small, regular deposits in this bank of experience, education, and training. And on January 15th, the balance was sufficient so that I could make a sudden, large withdrawal. When opportunity strikes, you better have plenty of funds in your bank of experience. Still, hard work alone will only get you so far. You need colleagues and mentors who support you. You need someone who believes in you, who sees what makes you special. Tim Russert, who gave me my first break at NBC, was that wonderful person for me. But mentors are not simply bestowed. Your champions need to be earned. So ask yourself, how can I be exceptional instead of just good at my job? And be collaborative. You go a lot farther when other people want you to succeed. It's not just about fitting in or being nice. Those things matter too. It's about being someone whom colleagues can count on, who does her part and more, who treats the people around her with respect, from the man delivering the mail to the CEO of the company. And have humility. When I was promoted to co-anchor of the Today Show, a hard-nosed veteran producer looked at me and said, "Kid, today you may be drinking the wine. Tomorrow you could be picking the grapes." In other words, remember that the same people you pass on the way up are the ones who will catch you when you fall. Because the truth is, no one's life is free of disappointments. Bad things do happen to good people. You will inevitably face hardships and heartbreak, and they may come when you least expect it. In 1997, my life was good. Scratch that. My life was great. My career was in full tilt. My husband, Jay, was loving his work as a legal analyst. We had 2 beautiful little girls. And then, out of the blue, Jay was diagnosed with advanced colon cancer. 9 months later, he was gone. I thought my life had ended too. But I had to keep going, especially for my daughters. And I couldn't save Jay, but maybe I could spare other families from the pain ours had endured. So in 1999, I had an on-air colonoscopy to help demystify this potentially life-saving procedure. Afterwards, there was a 20% increase in colonoscopies nationwide, and it was even called the Couric effect. And according to a study released just this past March, in the last 10 years, the incidence of colon cancer has decreased 30%. My goal was really to create, thank you. I hope I played some small role in that happy development. But my goal was really to create a movement, which may be a very bad or very good choice of words given the topic. But I can tell you, honestly, that my cancer advocacy work has been more gratifying to me than any interview, any story, any magazine cover, because there is nothing more rewarding than embracing a cause that is bigger than yourself. I know that you all understand that. Here at Trinity, you've brought attention to autism, you've promoted healthy body image, you've mentored and tutored underserved boys and girls in Hartford, you've raised thousands of dollars to fight cancer through the Relay for Life. And that's no surprise. Your generation is known for the priority you place on helping others and on building careers that are driven as much by purpose as by a paycheck. Please keep caring about others. You can make such a difference. I see it every day, whether it's drawing attention to hundreds of kidnapped girls in Nigeria, moms joining forces to fight for sensible gun laws, college students pressuring their administrations to take sexual assault seriously. Keep challenging the status quo and hold on to the youthful idealism that makes you think you can change the world. Because you really can. And it doesn't have to be on a global scale or even a national one. It can be in your own backyard. Be the person who helps an elderly neighbor or comforts a friend in need. Be the person who's open to those with different opinions and ideas. Listen, and then listen some more. Be the person who speaks up against intolerance and bigotry. And be the person who stands up when someone is mistreated. Be that person every day, because every day you will be offered opportunities to be generous, to be fair, to be kind, to do the right thing. And as the writer Annie Dillard says, how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. So let me end where I began, with President Teddy Roosevelt. That 600-mile-long waterway in the Amazon called the River of Doubt, well, it nearly killed him. He was weary and ragged and racked with disease. He thought about giving up, about throwing in the towel, but instead, he persevered. And so will all of you. There was a mantra Teddy Roosevelt loved. Do what you can with what you've got where you are. Class of 2014, you've got a Trinity diploma, and that's a pretty good place to start. Enjoy the ride. Just don't text and drive. Congratulations to all of you.